did you think you were good enough, or did you just play and never think about it?
Yeah, it's funny because I still don't think I'm good enough.
Hey everyone, welcome to our podcast, The Bold Tackle. We are your hosts, Sophie Howard and Oliver Howard, and we are ready to tackle bold topics in sport,
highlight the women's football industry,
and speak about the unspoken.
If you are ready to get an insight into what really goes on behind the scenes, join us on our journey and listening
to The Bold Tackle. Hi and welcome back to a new episode of our podcast, The Bold Tackle. And hi Soph, lovely to see you.
Hi Ollie, nice to see you too.
And we have a guest today. Kirsty, Sophie probably knows everything about you. I know hardly anything about you. And we want to get all the viewers involved. So who is Kirsty Hanson? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Kirsty Hanson. I currently play for Aston Villa, women and Scotland national team.
Well, I told you, Ollie. I told you. I said she's not a woman of a lot of words.
That was a very short answer, but maybe you could start at the beginning. Where did your career start? Because obviously we have a lot of young listeners as well. Where did you start at the beginning? Boys or girls, maybe, first of all? Did you start playing with boys?
Yeah, the boys. It was actually on my street in Halifax where I grew up. I had a lot of boys on my street, so I just joined in with them. They always played different sports like football, a bit of cricket. I wasn't really into the cricket one. And then one day they went up. It was like a local park which had like boys teams. I think they were called Wally Rangers Blues at the time. And they joined the team, and then I got a bit like, oh, wish I could join. And then I think they just said, oh yeah, come along. And I think luckily there was already a girl there, so I felt fine. I didn't have any problems, and I just went and trained with them, and then they wanted to sign me up, and just went from there. Really, I loved it playing with the boys. I think you hear stories about people the boys weren't welcoming. That I never had that problem. I just fitted right in. They were just so welcoming, and all the parents were. And I think once they started realising, oh, she's actually not that bad. They started passing to me and didn't have any problems, and I loved it.
How were your parents with you playing with the boys from the beginning, or playing football? Because all those years ago, it was not the normal sport to go into.
No, definitely. To be honest, my mum and dad just supported me whatever I did. My mum was a sporty one, and she wanted me and my brother to get into sport. I think she made me and my brother join gymnastics, and I didn't really like it. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really like the leotard. Went to my first competition, I was like, Mum, I don't want to do it, and she was like, oh, that's fine. And luckily I had football, and I was like, oh, can't not love football. And my brother did a bit of football. I think he went further with his gymnastics and eventually quit that. But yeah, Mum and Dad just supportive. They drove me everywhere. They still do, to be honest. And yeah, I didn't have any problems like that. I'm just grateful for them.
What made you feel at home with football?
I think I just thought it was normal. Everyone played it near me. We just had loads of sports teams around in Halifax. My brother did football. He supported me, and yeah, didn't have any problems. Just loved playing football, and just from a young age, the boys just wanted me to join in.
Do you think it helped that you had another girl on the team? Because I always say, growing up, I had my twin on the team, and that massively helped, especially when I was getting older and playing with the boys. Do you think that helped you as well?
Yeah, I guess so. I think even just joining the team, I thought, oh, it should be normal. It should allow a girl there. And then when I turned up and there was already a girl there, I was like, oh, they can't say no then because there's already a girl. So I think, yeah, maybe it did help that I wasn't just the first girl in the team. And I think, yeah, we're both the same. We just had that. We just thought it was just normal just for girls to join in as well. So we just had each other, and the boys fitted us in straight away. So loved it.
It's lovely to have that youthful thinking of not worrying too much what you're going into, just going into it. It would be great if we could keep it and continue thinking like it, but it doesn't happen, does it?
God, I wish. Oh gosh, life would be so much easier right now.
We'll come to that in a bit.
Yeah.
I would like to hear it as well. Now you've got me all interested.
Well, you have to wait for a little bit because we can't jump from the boys to Aston Villa. When did you realise that you really wanted to give this football thing, whatever it was back then, a go, and really wanted to commit to, I guess, playing more?
Yeah, I think obviously after the boys had to go into a girls' team, I thought, oh, it's going to be a bit of a maybe not like a come down, but it's just not. I feel like obviously growing up with like playing with the boys are just so physical and just more exciting playing with the boys. And then I had to go to a girls' team, and I was like, oh, I just have to get used to it. But then obviously there was just so many girls' teams joined. I think it was just a local centre of excellence, and then I went to different centre of excellences until I think I went to North Yorkshire Centre of Excellence at one point, and then obviously I went to like Huddersfield Town Women, and then I think maybe it was Huddersfield Town where I thought, oh, I think I can do something with football here because I think I scored quite a lot of goals. I was like, oh, I love this now. That's when I found out. I think one of my friends I was training with who lives like in Halifax in my hometown. She went and trialled for Manchester United under 17s, and that's when I went, oh, didn't know they existed really, because I only saw the men on the team, and then obviously I was a Man United supporter. So then I think it took me like a few trials to get into their centre of excellence, because I think they didn't want me the first year, and then I went back again the next year and eventually got in. So, and I think that's when I properly started taking it seriously, when I went into a proper academy.
Do you remember what they told you, why they didn't want you? And then what did you do after that? Because clearly you had to just continue and keep trying.
And what made you keep trying?
Yeah, I think I can't remember what they told me. I think they were like, oh, you're almost there, you just need to work on obviously keeping the ball better, just your technical and your fitness. And that's when I was like, okay, I really want to play for Manchester United. So I went back and I worked on that like the past year with my new club. And then I was like, right, I'm going to apply for this trial again and just put my all into it, because I've worked hard all year to make sure I get into there. And then the trial went luckily well, and got asked back, and eventually got in. And I think that's what I keep with me all throughout my career. Like, you have setbacks, but if you keep just working hard, you will get the good at the end, hopefully.
Let me stay with that. Why did you keep up with the dream? Because normally you get hit by not being taken after a trial, and then you have a second trial, and people tend to give up. Was it only the dream of playing with Manchester United, or was there anything else driving you to get the job done?
Yeah, I think I always like to prove people wrong, so I just like, you can let it get to you. Obviously I've had that, like maybe at school, for example, when I was younger. Maybe I'm like, oh, not doing well here, and I'm like, oh, I want to prove the teacher wrong, I can do this, get a good score in my test or whatever. And I think that's what I did with football. Obviously they told me maybe I'm not quite there yet, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to come back next year, I'm going to make sure that I am good enough. And then it's just nice, it was then a great feeling when I won it, because obviously I wanted to play for Manchester United. I supported that club, and then I was like, I'm not going to give up this dream, because that's what I want to do. So why should I give up? And I've still got more in me to give, and I've still got more to improve, because I was only young, I guess.
And then you had to leave eventually, and you went to Liverpool. Why, and what was that feeling like? Because now you're leaving the club that you supported.
Yeah, no, I really didn't want to lead Manchester United, but obviously they didn't have a women's team at the time. But I always believed that they would have one, but I just didn't know when. And I was like, you know what, I'll keep playing with a team up north. And luckily Liverpool came in. They'd seen me obviously when I played against them in the 17s, and they're like, "Oh, come along and play for our development, have a few trials." And I really enjoyed it there because obviously a few United players went there as well. And yeah, I enjoyed that as well. I think we won the league with the the reserves team then. Um, yeah, and that was just great. I think that's when I started playing for Scotland under 17s as well, and in between. And I think that's obviously where I was like, oh, I need to make sure I'm playing good football because I want to make sure I stay in the Scotland squad. And because obviously in the Scotland squad at the under 17s, under 19s, their players were playing in the first team at that age. So I was like, oh, and I'm still playing in the reserves. So I was like, oh, I need to keep playing with a good team, make sure I'm training well to keep getting selected, I guess.
Were you already training with the first squad of Liverpool?
No, I wasn't. Because yeah, I think they were just really good at that point. And obviously you don't have it's so much different to how it is these past few years. Like you've got players that come up and are able to train, but I didn't think we had as many opportunities as that when we were like in the Liverpool reserves. So I think that's when I went to Sheffield FC for like a year. Didn't go very well, but I needed first team football, so I was like, I'll go there, and just get a taste of first team football. And I think that's where, yeah, you have your ups and downs, and if I should continue it or not, because I didn't get many minutes at that first team, and I was like, oh, should I quit? And then I think that's other things that happened as well, like uni. I went to uni, and then yeah.
It's funny how the first thought often is, should I quit, instead of should I take a step down? Should I go back and play a little bit for the youth instead of go straight to the first team? It's funny how, because we've spoken to a lot of people, and Sophie had thought that many times, me too, with my very little career. But the first thought is always from going from a professional to quitting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just think also though, for us back at that stage, football wasn't a career you aspired. You played it for the love of the game, but if you then realised potentially you weren't going to be maybe a first team player, and it wasn't coming right away, only a very small percentage of girls that play football will make it to the top. And it got to a point where you had to decide almost, do I just, because it's a lot of commitment, do I give up this commitment and maybe follow a different career where it's a bit more secure? Because I think that's why we always thought about that back in the day. I think it's a bit different now, to be honest, but it wasn't something that was out there as a career.
Was it not a career in the WSL when you were playing at Sheffield already? Were you earning money already at that point?
Don't think I was. It's not until I got to my next club, Doncaster Bells, is when you start getting paid a bit more, because they were meant to be full time. So then that's when that started getting there. But I never really thought of it still as a career. I think I was just like going through making sure I'm enjoying it at that age. Because obviously they didn't have much TV coverage. I still watched. I probably was someone who still didn't watch women's football. I didn't really go to matches. I still watched men's football because it was on TV. I'm not like someone who had like an idol of a women's footballer because I didn't really watch it. But I think it's not until I got to my next team that I was like, oh, maybe I can maybe make it now, because it started growing as soon as I got to like Doncaster Bells.
And what league were you playing there?
At that point, it was WSL 2,
which is Championship now.
And why did you move to Doncaster? Were you on loan from Liverpool, or?
No, I was meant to be on loan to Sheffield FC from Liverpool. But I started going to uni at this point, and my coach, I obviously played for the football team at uni, and my coach there was actually Emma Coates, who was the Doncaster Bell's manager at the time, and she just took me to the side one day and she went, "You're too good to be not playing, sitting on the bench. Come to Doncaster Bells." And I was like, because obviously I wasn't playing in the Championship, and I didn't really have a proper taste of it. I was like, should I? Shouldn't I? But then if she's seen something in me, I was like, you know what? I may as well go for it. Obviously it was, they were meant to be full time at this time, and that would have been my first step at full time professional football. And I was like questioning myself, but I think I'm obviously grateful for my parents because they were like, after all the hard work you've done, I think you should just go for it. They obviously had Kirsty Murray in the team at the time, who played for the Scotland women's team, and I was like, you know what, this is a chance to play with a Scotland international like Kirsty Murray, and there was obviously some other amazing players in the team at the point, and I was like, I just went for it, and I think I don't know what happened, but I just started to bloom into obviously a professional football, which I didn't expect, and I really enjoyed it. And I think when you enjoy your football and have a manager that obviously had full confidence in me and wanted me in the squad, I was like, I just enjoyed every single minute, and we did so well. I think we won the league, and it was obviously a big turning point for me.
Do you think the confidence of the manager in you affected you so much that you played differently as well?
Yeah, possibly. I think I've always been a confidence player, still am now, which is really frustrating for myself because I want to make sure I've got lots of confidence to play. But when you do have that backing, it does make you feel like wanted and you know that you're wanted there. You know that people believe in you. So I think it's important to have that. Obviously, you need it in yourself, but when you have that as a manager, then you know that you can go out there and show what you're about and just play with obviously no stress and freedom, and just did my best, really.
And did you ever know? Did you think you were good enough? Did you hope you were good enough, or when did you realise that you are good enough to play as a professional? Or did you just play and never think about it?
Yeah, it's funny because I still don't think I'm good enough.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew from your face, I knew you were going to say that right now.
I'm still like, how am I at this level right now? Because I don't know, I don't know, I just always put like my hard work into games and training sessions and just hope for the best, I guess. I think it's like, I just try to enjoy it as much as I can and just do what obviously we've obviously trained for, and made sure I stick to that plan and make sure I just do the best I can. Because back then I was like, oh, I hope I can make it, and then now I'm still like, I hope I can still keep it up, playing at this level, because you obviously see players now, and I'm like, oh, I wish I was as good as them. They're obviously like younger than me, and I'm like, wish I'm as good as them. I still wish I have obviously more to come. Obviously, as I get older, I'm like, oh, maybe this is my peak, and I need to enjoy it while I can.
I actually don't think you realise how many people watch you and look at you and say, I wish I could play like her. I know you're a big confidence player. We often speak about it, Kirks, and I think that's your biggest limitation. You're your worst enemy, and we spoke about it before, so therefore we can chat on here. But I don't think you realise how many people wish they played the way you do and to that level, and which is as a friend really, really hard to watch, because I see how much hard work you put into it, but I also see how much pressure you put yourself under, and as friends, there's nothing you can do. You can't take that away from you. But it is so hard to watch, and sometimes I wish I could just shake you and be like, do you actually realise what you've just produced?
Yeah, it's nice to hear that. I wish it's frustrating for myself, because I'm like, I wish it was that easy to obviously take on that feedback and just forget about all the worries and the pressure, but it's just hard when you just put that much pressure on yourself.
It's funny how we always talk about pressure from the media side, from fans screaming, from managers, from teammates, and so on. But with you, it seems like the biggest pressure is from yourself. Why do you put it on you?
I don't know. I'm so like particular about things. I'm like, I just want to be perfect. Obviously, you can't be, but like, yeah, after every game or after every session, or even if I've scored, I'm like, I have people come up to me like, "Oh, you played well." I'm like, not really, because I always have in the back of my mind, I gave away the ball then. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. They got past me, and I think sometimes obviously it's a good thing if I know where my weaknesses are, I know what I need to work on, but I think I'm probably out, how weighed by the bad more than the good, which is frustrating for myself, but yeah.
Do you know, when I hear your answers, Kirst, like, I know they started at a very young age, because every time you were actually scouted, you've just said, oh, someone just said come along and play with us. No, you were actually scouted to play for this team. But
Yeah.
you never, like, just listening to what you were saying, you never actually thought that you were good enough to be scouted. It's always like people were feeling sorry for you and just come tag along and play with us. No, actually, they saw something in you. That's why they wanted you to come. I just feel like that developed into like the pressure you put yourself under. I'm pretending like I'm a psychologist now.
Yeah, no.
But
And also, it sounds like Kirsty doesn't really believe you.
I know, she's like, so what are you trying? It's so frustrating. So I can only imagine how frustrating it is for you. But it's so frustrating to watch as a friend and a teammate, of course, but more a friend than a teammate, to be honest.
Yeah.
And what I also think is funny, it sounds like we're speaking about someone who's trying to make it as a professional.
I know.
And you are. You're already right at the top. Obviously, there's always bigger teams, always more to win. But you're a professional. You're right at the top. You're at the top 1%. And you're still doubting yourself.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your career, because Sophie mentioned earlier that you went back to United when they had a team.
Yeah.
Was that straight after Doncaster?
Yeah. So I think, don't know how, was I Doncaster for like a year and a half, 2 years, and I think we won the league, but then that's when they lost a lot of money and they couldn't afford to get into the top league, WSL, and then obviously a lot of us were thinking about leaving. I actually went to America for 4 days to look at this uni, and I was like, oh, I don't know where to go. Shall I go to America? Shall I go stay and find another championship club? Because I was like, I don't know if, well, like me thinking, I don't think a WSL club would want me.
I told you.
And then one day, it was obviously my old coach at United rang me saying, oh, they're making a women's team just to prepare you. They might get in touch. And I was like, oh, okay, that's exciting. I was like, yes, a women's team. And I was like, but I think the first thing I was like, I don't think they'll bring me home. And they won't want me, Mom. Why would they want me? But anyway, yeah, Kirsty Stoney got in touch, and I was like, wow. And she said, oh, she obviously introduced what her plan is, what's obviously this 3-year plan. She was like, oh, do you want to meet up? And I was like, I already had in my head, I'm like, I can't say no to this. And we met up for a coffee, and she showed me everything. I'm not gonna lie, I cannot remember anything that was on this laptop, because in my head I was like, just cut it short. I'm saying yes. And she was like, so do you want to join? I was like, yeah, of course. And honestly, that under Kirsty Stoney, it was honestly like the best few years ever. Obviously, started at the bottom, and obviously championship, and she built such a tight knit group. It was amazing, everything we did, and obviously she was strict as well, but then obviously really cared for us as players. So I think every single one from that team, and you can see them playing now, are really good players, and I think good people as well, because she obviously instilled that into us as a great player and great person off the pitch. And yeah, was just amazing. And then obviously she left and I was devastated. And then Mark Skinner came in and he obviously got us playing a different way, different environment. And yeah, it was really good. And then obviously moved on to other things.
What made it so great under her?
I think it was just obviously my first proper professional environment, I think I'd say. Because Doncaster Bells was professional, but we only trained at night or afternoons. But Man United, we were in obviously full days. It was my first taste of full days, professional. All the staff, it was just so technical. I had this strength and conditioning coach, Elle Turner, who's one of the best I've ever worked with. She got me like as fast as I ever could be, and I didn't think that would be possible. And strong, and that's why I'm probably as strong as I am today, thanks to her. And then just got us so fit, and it was just everyone just had this same goal, and we just wanted to win. And I think throughout that first 2-3 seasons, and we eventually got in the WSL with that squad, it was something special to be a part of, and obviously making history.
Is that a benefit you have when you play for a team such as Manchester United, where there's so much money behind the men's? Do the women get a bit of it? Do they get the best coaches, the best athletic trainers, and so on in? Or was it just luck with United? Because obviously now you're at Aston Villa. Maybe Sophie, you can say a little bit about Leicester. But is the big money also beneficial for the women's teams?
Yeah, I think obviously now the Man United women's team, they've got their own building. We didn't have that. I think we were still. I didn't really think about the money bit. I think we probably didn't have the best backing when I first joined. But obviously as they won stuff and obviously had more years in that league, and obviously, and then the men doing well, they probably got more money in, and then more staff came in, being able to employ more as the years went on. But at the start, I don't think it was obviously the best, but we still had obviously some of the best coaches and staff and facilities. Yeah.
I think the history of the big traditional club Man United helps. I think the name of Manchester United helps. I think being very fortunate with who was appointed as the S&C, probably Casey Stoney doing her research and finding someone she wanted to work with. I think it's always absolutely crucial that the manager employs a staff that she believes in as well. Because I'm unsure if the money of a club from the men's side actually carries over to the women's side, especially 5 years ago. That's what we're talking about, 5+ years ago. I don't think there's a lot of carryover. I just think United as a club is a club that many, many people want to be a part of based on the name. So I think it's an element of both. It's who you are or who United is, and also your manager appointing the right people.
Yeah, definitely.
Why did you leave Manchester United?
Well, I think there was... I obviously went on loan to Aston Villa my first year. And I think it was just a few things. Obviously not getting as many minutes. And then I started not getting picked for Scotland, which is obviously really disappointing. And I'm like, oh, how can I show? And I think it was just Pedro at the time, I think. And he wanted me to improve on things. And obviously I couldn't show him that I was doing that in games because I wasn't playing. And I think we went on, I think it was a pre-season tour to like France, and I spoke to Mark at the time and I was like, what's my plans? And he said, oh, you're a great player, you've got this, this and this, and this is your plan. And then he signed more players, but I didn't have... Sorry, dog's coughing. You okay? All right.
Do you want to make sure he's okay?
Yeah, he's okay. I think he just wants attention. And then, I think this pre-season tour I didn't get as many minutes. What's wrong? Right, go have a drink. And then, yeah, went on this pre-season tour and I didn't get as many minutes and the new signings started. And I think we got back from there and I was like, I think it was a really crucial part for Scotland as well. And I was like, I really want to get back into the Scotland squad. I want to start playing again because it was really affecting my obviously mental health when you're not playing. And then I was like, right, what's my plans really? And we had a proper sit down, and he was like, okay, you can go on loan. So I was like, okay. And this was like, I think it was like 2 weeks or 1 week before this summer transfer. He's stressing me out. What's wrong?
You brought him for calmness to bring calmness to your life. He is absolute carnage.
That is another thing. I got him from mental health, and you're okay. He just stressed me out a few times, but I do love you. Yeah. So this was like, I was on the phone to my agent. I was like, right, I'm allowed to go on loan. Where can I go? And there was a few clubs, visited a few, and I think Carla Ward was actually my Sheffield FC captain, so we knew each other, and I was like, I think that'll really help because obviously having previous experience with managers believing in me, I was like, okay, I'll go to Aston Villa, and obviously I've not moved too far from home before. Like Manchester was only an hour from home, and obviously Birmingham was 2.5 hours, so I was like, okay, it's not too far. I can work with this. So yeah, I went to Aston Villa, and I think that first year there never thought it'd go as well as it planned. I was just there to obviously get my confidence back up, get it back into the Scotland squad as much as I can. And I think it was possibly one of my best seasons yet in my career, I think, that first season. And I don't know why that was. I think I just went in there with like, a prove the manager wrong kind of attitude like I had as I was younger. I just wish I have that more often because now I've kind of gone back to my old ways, which I need to get out of my head.
For me, it's crazy to see the development at United. Like it went from probably the best, as you said, like the best couple of seasons or years in football where you absolutely enjoyed yourself, you were successful with the team, to there's a manager change and it seemed like a lot of things changed. You started to doubt yourself again. Obviously, minute wise, it wasn't looking great. I remember us having conversations and you were very low in terms of your mental health, and I know you struggled a lot. I don't expect you to share anything about that, but like, first of all, how can it go from the highs to the lows? What do you think happened? And then you realised you had to move to get back to old Kirsty. And I think, what was it that made you move in the end? Because once again, you moved away from the club that you supported for all those years.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, I just, when speaking to you and friends about like how low I got, and I was like, I can't continue doing this. Obviously I spoke to some psychologists. I got a dog because I think I've always wanted a dog, and dogs they solve every problem. And I was like, and then when I realized I had a dog and I was still a bit sad, I was like, right, okay, there's a deeper problem here. Like, I know as a player, like you'll go through them stages like playing lack of minutes. Like I had that with Kirsty, and I managed to control that. I was fine. I was like still working hard in training. I think, I don't know what happened. I think it was just obviously a lot of staff moved that I was close with as well and trusted when Mark came in. And I think when you have a change and obviously a lack of trust with other staff, and then you lose the staff that you really did trust and managed to speak to them, it's like I just felt quite alone. And I think obviously I still love Manchester United, and I was like, right, I need to make sure that I just want to get back to my usual self, happy, bubbly self, making sure I can go on the pitch and have no worries. And yeah, just thought, what can go wrong? Like, go on loan. Like, maybe I can come back, do well, or it can go really well like it did, and I stay there. And went that way, and I think when I enjoy it and I was like, and obviously in a good place mentally, I think that's where I want to stay. And I think that's why I was like, I'm going to stay there, because I was like, I'm in this good place now. I don't want to go back. Like, maybe it could have gone back to, I could have stayed at a good place. But I just knew, obviously where I was, and obviously still getting selected for Scotland and other things. I was like, I need to stay. I just want to stay in feel like I'm secure, more like. So I was like, I'm decided to stay. Obviously, then it was a bit tough last season. Obviously, I think we were cursed. Started off with a red card, not my best, which probably just ruined the season, really. I tried not let it. I think after Christmas, the second half, I tried not, even though, yeah, I did. But the second half of that season, it got better, I think. The break at Christmas definitely helped. I think that's what I've realised. When you're having a tough time, you just need to make sure you surround yourself with, obviously, the ones you love most and your friends and family. I think that's what I realise when I'm in these, obviously, low moods.
It's not easy to be a professional footballer by the sound of it.
No. I tell my friends this every day. They're like, "You're living your best life. You're not working 9 till 5." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not, but I don't know why it's so hard." Yeah.
And I think that is partially why we're doing this podcast, Kirst. It's to show people the unseen bits. And I always say, I believe I have the best job in the world, and I wouldn't change it for anything. However, I want people to realise it's not all rosy. There's a lot of unseen bits that we face and that we struggle with, which I guess any person does in any profession. But I think it's very important that people get the full picture. But to get back to Villa, where are you at now? Are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, obviously I've gone through another change, a new manager. So it's another change for me. I think I've realised maybe I get it's a bit unbalanced with change. But yeah, I get along with the new managers. Obviously we're playing a bit differently. We've got more players, so that's another pressure. But I am playing myself, but then I am still putting a lot of pressure on myself, because training every day and you realise that you see other players doing so well, and I just feel like, obviously I've still got in the back of my head, how am I still here? But yeah, I think it's just trying to stick at it. Got just little goals in my head, just making sure that we do better than last season, and obviously personal goals for myself, make sure obviously score, assist more consistently, play better, and obviously a big away from club is obviously the big goal with Scotland, is obviously qualifying for the Euros, so that's coming up. And yeah,
through the whole episode and through the whole chat we've just had, you keep mentioning the importance for you for playing for Scotland. Do you value that higher than playing club football?
I've never done that, actually. I think obviously you make sure I'm always got my head at club football. I need to make sure whenever I put on an Aston Villa badge, I'm making sure I put 100% in every single day for the players, staff, fans, and I'm just making sure I'm playing well there and improving every day, to then moving on, making sure I'm still getting selected for Scotland. And I think that's the ultimate thing. Like, if I'm doing well at club, then it's maybe like an award, that I'm obviously a reward for myself, that I'm playing for Scotland. I'm doing it, obviously I do it for my family every day in club, but they're obviously from my mom's family side, they're all Scottish, so I'm like, I do it for my family. When I play for Scotland, it's just a special feeling. And I think knowing that you can come to make it to big tournaments that I've still not managed to play for, it's like, got that in the back of my mind. I really want to do that.
Do you do it for yourself as well?
Yeah, of course. For all the highs and lows, I think everything you do, you do it for obviously yourself. ultimately the goal, you work on yourself every day. So obviously improving yourself, making sure you're the best person you can be on and off the pitch.
Do you think, I often wonder this, do you think if we didn't have the group we have at Scotland, this chat would be slightly different?
Possibly, I think it really does help when you've got a nice tight-knit group in a team. It helps you, obviously, especially if you're struggling. It's better to talk with, like, if you've got like a nice small group, and obviously you can have a laugh away from football. You've got other, like, on a day off, you don't have to focus on football because you've got your friends that you can just enjoy the day with. And I think, yeah, even through the highs, you get to celebrate with them because you know what they've been through as well and how well they're doing, and it's just nice to celebrate with them as well. So yeah, it definitely helps. And obviously, Sophie does amazing things, like has a podcast, and I get invited on it. If I hadn't met you, I wouldn't have been on it.
I do believe that, like, what we've got out of Scotland, of course, I think even if we didn't have this group, I think it's the biggest honour to represent your country, and we'd still all do it for the same reasons, that we want to represent this or our country, but to share this journey with special people that are within this group, I just think it emphasises, like, the desire to get back to camp every single time, because it means you're back with your football family.
Yeah, literally. It's just such an honour when you pull on that shirt.
Yeah.
It's just so special. Like, I think it's weird. It's like a different, as soon as you get into camp, it's just so much excitement. Everyone's just so happy to see each other. We get on the pitch, we're all like you'll have that at club, but I think it's just something different. You're all just wanting to, because of everything we do as a team, away from club, we do it all for, like, making sure we can reach these big tournaments, and I know we'll get there hopefully soon.
Do you have the same kind of pressure for Scotland? Because I've spoken with Sophie about this a lot, about the goals you have for Scotland and that you should be playing in these big tournaments, but you just miss out so closely. Is it a different kind of pressure? And how do you get through the tough times?
Yeah, it's a big pressure, obviously. If you're representing your country, you've got your country supporting you and backing you and wanting to go to these big tournaments with you to support you. So I think, yeah, it's a different pressure like that. But yeah, like you said, you've got, obviously, your club is like a little, like, obviously not a little group of fans, but a big group from, like, that obviously town. But then you play for Scotland, it's just, yeah, it's something different, and it's just massive. It's like, and then obviously when you have through tough times, like missing out on these big tournaments, it's like it takes it out on you. But also, we're just that so tight knit. We're like, we do believe we're going to get there eventually, and it's like I think we've obviously, yeah, we've picked each other up time and time again, and I think we're just so good at doing that. But now we just want to make sure we're up, enjoying the highs now.
Are you going to get there?
Yes, definitely. It's just how much we've grown as a team, like everyone, and obviously we've got injuries coming back, and we've just got, yeah, everyone's just playing consistently well. Even the younger players coming in, they're just so special now. And it's like, if whoever's, like, not playing, you've got someone coming in that position who are equally as good. Everyone's, like, just on a different level at the moment. I think it's just nice to have that, and everyone's pushing each other to make sure we're the best we can possibly be.
The way you're talking about this is getting me really excited as well for the team, because you can see the passion the whole team plays with when it's for the national team. And I do hope you get there at the end, because you do deserve it. You've been through tough times, the whole team.
Yeah.
It just makes me laugh how full of belief and confidence you are in the group. So this is what you need in yourself. When we ask you about you, you're like, oh, I don't know. When we ask you about the group, you're like, absolutely, not even a doubt.
I know.
But it just shows what an amazing team player you are. Like, there's such a strength in you speaking like that about the team. And it is crazy because I do believe that we all, as a Scotland squad, believe more in one another than we do in ourselves. But that's somehow that is also our superpower.
Yeah, exactly. Especially obviously, if someone's maybe gave away a pass, we're all we just get behind them straight away, and it's oh, you know what? Don't have to worry here.
Yeah.
Everyone's just got each other's back, and obviously, there's something about Scottish. If you've got Scottish in you, you're just a fighter, aren't you? You just play with such a different passion to everyone else, and it's it's great to have a part of that in you.
I just also think if you don't play like that, you won't be part of the squad. It's very clear that this is our identity.
Definitely.
But I think you can see that through your whole career, how you've been fighting to get where you are now. Not only fighting to be on the pitch, but fighting with yourself mentally, telling yourself that you're good enough. Although you're doubting in yourself, believing for yourself, that fight is constant. And it seems to be a fight to be a professional footballer, but you're winning it because you're right at the top.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it, I guess. We're winning it.
He's good with his words.
I know, he is. I was like, woo, yeah. I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, it's nice to hear that.
Next time you need to pick me up, I'll send Ollie your number. You can send you a little message.
Send him a message every day. Help, mate. Need a bit of boost.
Great. I think, Ollie, that's a great episode. Thanks, Kirst, for giving us your insight. And I know it can be tough at times to be vulnerable and show us what really goes on inside. Because I think we're all so trained to pretend like we're fine.
Yeah.
We when we get on that training pitch, I always say we fake it till we make it.
Yeah.
And it takes someone special, Kirst, to really open up. And thanks I guess for being you and allowing us to be part of your journey in that sense.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, thank you for being as open, because as I said at the beginning, I'd read a little bit about you and I've seen you on screen, but I didn't know you at all, and this episode had really helped to get to know you. So thank you for being so open. Thank you for making this episode so special.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. And we'll hear and see everyone next week again. So thank you very much. Thank you, Kirsty. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll be back again next week with a new guest.